Hello, welcome to News Now on TV360. I am Fidelia Aguncha. Nigeria's Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, has insisted the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra are a terrorist organization. The minister was reacting to the criticism of the United States government, who said they do not see the agitation group as a terrorist sect. Speaking at a BBC program, Mohammed defended the decision of the Nigerian government. The government had last week secured a federal high court order proscribing the activities of the group. In his ruling, Justice Abdul Kafarati said the activities of uphold would now be considered an act of terrorism. A federal high court in Abuja has referred the recall process of Senator Dino Melaye to the appeal court. The judge Nnamdi Dingba gave the directive after Melaye's counsel informed the court his client had filed an appeal with the appeal court. The Independent National Electoral Commission's INEC had returned to the court to secure an order allowing it to serve Melaye with the necessary documents, but it was met with a new notice by Melaye's counsel. The National Judicial Council has set up a 15-man committee to monitor corruption cases in the country. The committee will be chaired by a retired president of the Court of Appeal, Justice Ayo Salami. The setting up of the committee follows an order by the CJN to all heads of courts to compile and forward to the council comprehensive list of all corruption and financial crime cases being handled by their various courts. The CJN had also directed heads of courts to designate in their various jurisdictions one or more courts as special courts for the sole purpose of hearing and swiftly addressing corruption and financial crime cases. The Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, MAN, says it is ready to launch a massive evidence-based advocacy campaign for the patronage of made-in-Nigeria products. MAN President Frank Jacobs said the advocacy campaign is aimed at driving industrial development and economic growth by increasing patronage of locally made products by the government and its ministries, departments, and agencies.
MAN believes that the quest of the federal government to promote made-in-Nigeria goods can be best achieved if the executive order on patronage of locally produced goods is based on sector-specific margins of preference. The implementation of sector-specific margins of preference would have on the growth of 1. Manufacturing output, additional investment, income, employment, as well as 5. Government tax revenue. When we patronize made-in-Nigeria products, we expand our industrial base, create more jobs, and reduce the human misery brought about by poverty in the country.
Jacobs, while commending the federal government for her support, solicits effective implementation of executive order and the using of margins of preference of at least 35% in favor of the products that are locally made.
I urge the government to support the aforementioned noble actions by considering and implementing the following recommendations. 1. Set a margin of preference for made-in-Nigeria products for government. Although the margin of preference for the 5 pilot sectors averaged 63%, MAN suggests only 35% for starters, taking into cognizance the tight financial position of government at the moment. 2, encourage state and local governments to enshrine patronage of made-in-Nigeria products in their procurement policies and processes. 3, sustain, monitor, enforce, and ensure that the 40% participation rate for MSMEs provided in the executive order is strictly adhered to. 4, create a sustainable platform through which the general public will be continuously educated on the need to jettison the current penchant for foreign goods and therefore patronize locally manufactured products. And 5, review the law against dumping, smuggling, adulteration, and counterfeiting activities in the country to impose stricter penalty on culprits.
The Nigerian Senate has ordered the Minister of Finance and the Minister of Budget and National Planning to appear before its Joint Committee of Finance and Appropriations next Tuesday. The Senate had adopted a motion titled Inadequate Releases in the 2017 budget and the need to expedite releases in order to stimulate the economy. The Senate says it is worried that delayed budget funding may hinder economic recovery. The governor of Ekiti State, Ayodele Fayose, has declared his intention to contest in the 2019 presidential election. In an elaborate ceremony in Abuja on Thursday, the governor said his decision to contest the election is born out of his love for Nigeria. Fayose, who will run on the platform of the People's Democratic Party in 2019, also promised to fight corruption if elected. He said he remained the best candidate of the party, having defeated 2 incumbent governors in his state.
Our party must not lose sight that Nigerians at this period are desirous of a president with demonstrated capacity and spend quality time at home to change their fortunes. Furthermore, we must be mindful of the fact that our party needs a candidate like me with a penchant for defeating incumbents. I said the party needs a candidate like me who has penchant for defeating incumbents. Let me assure you, nobody in this party like me that can take out President Buhari from office. Twice I defeated incumbents to become governor of Ekiti State. And I'm confident that with your support, as my party leaders and supporters, I will defeat the incumbent President Muhammadu Buhari in a free and fair election. Let me state that in Ekiti, God has used me twice for our party to regain power from the opposition, and I believe same feat will be repeated at the national level very soon. I do not stand before Nigerians today to present myself as one with answers to all national questions. Rather, I present myself as one with the required knowledge, understanding, competence, and above all, the political will and sagacity to coordinate the human and material resources that we have in abundance to achieve national greatness.
Ibrahim Magu, acting chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, says politicians are determined to destroy the achievements of the anti-graft agency. Magu said this while hosting the Director General of the Intergovernmental Action Against Money Laundering in West Africa in Abuja. He blamed politicians for the suspension of the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit from the Egmont Group, describing it as a case of corruption fighting back. Lawmakers in Nigeria's House of Representatives have resolved to summon the Comptroller General of the Nigerian Customs Service and the Director General of the Department of State Services over the importation of illegal arms into the country. The resolution follows debate on a motion sponsored by Obin Nachidoka, who expressed worry over the recent influx of firearms into the country. The customs has seized over 2,500 firearms illegally imported into Nigeria from Turkey. A meeting between striking health workers in the country and delegates of the federal government ended in gridlock as both parties failed to reach an agreement. The Minister of Labor and Employment, Chris Ngige, alongside the Health Minister, Isaac Adewale, met with the leadership of the Joint Health Sector Union between Tuesday and Wednesday in a bid to reach an agreement over their strike action. The union, however, rejected the proposals of the government, saying the strike continues. Patients have been stranded in various hospitals since last week when the workers declared and indefinite strike action. The Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board (JAMB) says its newly introduced central admission processing system will help restore transparency in admission processes. According to the registrar of the board, Ishak Oloyede, the system will ensure candidates are fairly treated and expand admission opportunities as well as protect academic calendar.
We want to provide ease for accessing our services, and that's the essence of CAPS. But in addition to that, you are also aware of the presidential directive on transparency. We also want to make it so that as you are admitting, the Vice Chancellor is aware, the Provost Director, of what you are doing in JAMB. JAMB is aware, and all communication on admission will be registered and tracked. If the Vice Chancellor directs an admission officer that admit this candidate, it will be there on record. If the admission officer says, Oga, this thing is not good, it will be there on record. We'll be able to track the process rather than issuing internal memo and so on. Everything will be tracked, everything related to admission. And that's why we are telling the admission officers, we are telling our desk officer, a vice chancellor, a rector, a provost cannot call you on phone and say do something. You say, Oga, put it on CAPS. And once you put it there, of course, there is evidence of what you are doing. All these under the table deals that is denying us the opportunity of having accurate data will all be over.
Give him his shoes somewhere here, his phone and everything.
Don't do like that again.
Thank you. So, bye-bye. Hey, Oga, where do you think you are going?
Oh, you never shake body.
Eh?
You never shake body.
Shake body, see?
Huh? You never shake body.
Eh?
Never shake body.
I don't get combo for my body.
You go take for here. Sit down there.
Down.
What's this man still doing here?
They say I do shake body. I shake body, They say I do this. And I say I don't get color.
You are asking for money.
Sorry, ma'am.
Asking for money to bail a suspect is an act of corruption. Both of you will be punished. Corruption is not allowed within the force. Remember,
police is your friend. Giving and taking bribe is wrong.
corruption not in my country.
Stop corruption now.
Corruption not in my country.
Welcome back. Let's look at business with Ngozi Okoye.
Thank you, Fidelia. Debt Management Office DMO says Nigeria hopes to issue a $2.5 billion Eurobond by mid-November in a series of debt sales as it seeks to fund the record budget for 2017. The 7.44 trillion naira budget is meant to fuel Nigeria's growth after the economy pulled out of its first downturn in the second quarter of this year. The planned mid-November issue will complement the $1.5 billion raised in Eurobond sales in February and March. Oil prices rose on Thursday, impelled by the rising tension around northern Iraq following the autonomous Kurdistan region's vote in favor of independence in a referendum. Brent crude oil was up 60 cents at $58.50 a barrel, while U.S. light crude was 60 cents higher at $52.74. With Brent futures commanding their highest premium over U.S. crude in more than 2 years, U.S. crude has become increasingly competitive in foreign markets. That complicates efforts by the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, and other major producers to push oil higher throughout controls, as every rise in price encourages more U.S. production. Local equities maintained the bullish market 2 days in a run with a 0.93% upsurge. The all shares index closed at 35,429.31 basis points as against 35,103.40 recorded on Wednesday, while the market capitalization equities appreciated by over 1 billion naira to close at 12,213 trillion. The top advancers include Nestle, Dangote Cement, International Breweries, PZ Cushon, and Guarantee Trust Bank PLC. On the loser side of the table had MRS Oil Nigeria PLC, Nascon Allied Industries, Unilever, Cement Company of Nigeria PLC, and EcoBank Transnational Incorporated topping. Meanwhile, the top traders list had Skybank, AXA Mansard Insurance, Transnational Corporation of Nigeria, Mayor, and Access Bank PLC. That is it on business news. We go on a short break now, and when we return, it's back to Fidelia.
Corruption not in my country.
What is wrong with Kilo man saying no? Tell them I drew for more than 1 hour.
Ìyá mi, ọ̀rọ̀ yín náà ni mò ń ṣe. Ọ̀rọ̀ yín náà ni mò ń ṣe. Ká kúrò fún Ọlọ́run. Ká satisfy yín níbi ọ̀rọ̀ yín náà ni mò ń ṣe.
Ẹ wo jẹ́ ká lọ jàre ká kúrò nbí báyìí.
Ẹ jọ̀ọ́ ẹ má bínú. Hello. Hello ọ̀gá. Màá dọ́dọ̀ yín lẹ́sẹ̀ yín. I am assure you 5 minutes. Màá dọ́dọ̀ yín. Ẹ gbà bẹ́ẹ̀.
You are deceiving another customer just like you deceived us.
The same way he deceived us.
Eh? Why?
Ètò ni iṣẹ́ yìí. Bó o bá kúrò ò lè jẹun, ò lè jẹun. Bó o bá kúrò ò lè jẹun ìyá mi. Bó o bá kúrò ò lè jẹun. Workshop mi leléyìí. Ibi tí èèyàn bá ti ń ṣe ló ti ń jẹ. Ìyẹn ló ń pè ní workshop. Ibi tó bá ti ń work ni kó má ti shop.
Well, you cannot base your business on lies. Go down now. It is corruption and it cannot work. Not in my country.
Corruption not in my country.
Welcome back. At least 10 children and 4 women were killed when a boat carrying Rohingya fleeing violence in Myanmar capsized off Bangladesh on Thursday. At the scene of the accident, witnesses and survivors said the boat overturned just yards from the coast after apparently hitting a submerged object and was later washed ashore. The latest disaster came as a UN visit to Myanmar's conflict-battered Rakhine state was postponed on Thursday, thwarting efforts to reach the epicenter of the violence. Kenya's ruling Jubilee Party on Thursday presented Parliament with proposals intended to prevent the Supreme Court from annulling the result of a coming rerun presidential election. The court struck down President Uhuru Kenyatta's poll victory, saying the polls was neither transparent nor verifiable. Kenya used 2 systems to transmit results from polling stations, that is paper forms and the electronic transmission of the vote tallies, plus scanned copies of the forms. The court found flaws in both systems. Super Eagles captain Mikel Obi is asking his teammates to remain professional as they prepare for the crucial World Cup qualifier against Zambia. The 31-year-old will lead a 23-man Eagles squad looking forward to securing a spot at next year's tournament in Russia. They currently lead Group B with 10 points, 3 ahead of the Zambians with 2 games to go. The national team won the reverse fixture 2-1 last year, but Mikel admits he is expecting a resurgent Zambia side. Former Real Madrid, Chelsea and AC Milan coach Carlo Ancelotti has been sacked by German champion Bayern Munich. The Italian has been dismissed after a poor start to the German season was worsened by a 3-0 defeat to Paris Saint-Germain in the UEFA Champions League. He leaves the club third in the Bundesliga after 6 matches with 4 wins, 1 draw and 1 defeat. The former Madrid boss had won the league by a whopping 15 points in his first season in charge, but that has not saved him from an early dismissal in his second season. Former world number 1 Novak Djokovic has announced Andre Agassi will remain his coach in the 2018 season. The Serb is currently facing a lengthy spell on the sidelines after picking up an elbow injury in the 2017 Wimbledon. Agassi was appointed after the French Open to help him overcome his early crash, but he was also knocked out early at Wimbledon. Despite the poor performance, Djokovic says he has decided to retain the American coach. Well, that's all on news now. Thanks for watching. I am Fidelia Aguncha.